Apostle Paul warned the church of the coming Antichrist and the things that he would do and say. This is given in the warning that Paul said, "Remember, when I was with you, I told you these things." And what Paul was talking about was the book of Daniel, chapter 7, 8, and 11, where he gives an account in his testimony on what was to be seen by the beast, the Antichrist. And in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, we see this. It says, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, shewing himself that he is God." In verse 5 it continues and says, "Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things?" And what reference did Paul have to remind people? He used the Old Testament, the book of Daniel chapter 11 specific, where it's talking about the exalting himself, the beast exalting himself. Daniel chapter 11 verse 36 says, "And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done." In the references of Daniel and the warning that Paul gave is all clear in the book of Daniel, and it's fulfilled in the book of Revelation. The beast in his mouth speaks great things. In the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 8, it says, "I considered the horns, and beheld there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things." So who is this man that speaks great things? It is the Antichrist, the beast. And we see his mouth here in Daniel chapter 7, verse 11. It says, "I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame." And this is talking about the end of the beast, at the end of the tribulation, when the beast is captured. But looking at his mouth, what he says and what he does. It is made known about his mouth in Daniel chapter 7, verse 20. "And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows." So his mouth is continuously speaking of great things. And he continues to speak these great things, and he has blasphemies coming out of his mouth as well, indeed. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of a time." This little horn speaking great things and blasphemies is the first beast of the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 13 verse 5 says, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven." And the plagues come upon the beast and his kingdom, and he continues to blaspheme instead of repent. And we see this in the book of Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16 verse 8 through 11 says, "And the 4th angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which had power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. And the 5th angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds." They blaspheme the Lord because of the plagues coming on them, because they do not repent. Revelation chapter 16, verse 21. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. So what blasphemies are spoken? Well, we know the Zionists and the Muslims both are antichrists. They both blaspheme the Son of God. They both deny the Son of God. They both do not have the Father, and they both speak evil blasphemy. And this is the spirit of Antichrist that is empowered and enabled within Islam and in unbelieving Jews. But specifically looking to what Muslims say. In the Muslims' own writing, they say that Jesus is not God, and that God has no son, and that the King of the Kings is the worst name of all. And this is in their Sunnah Muslim 2143b, in their Sunnah, in their own writings. It says, Abu Harari reported from Allah's Messenger so many a hadith, and one of them was that Allah's Messenger said, the most wretched person in the sight of Allah on the day of resurrection, and the worst person and target of his wrath, would be the person who is called Malik al-Amlak, the King of Kings. For there is no king but Allah. And they also say such blasphemies in the Sahih al-Bukhari 6205, where the chapter in the name which is mostly disliked by Allah, narrated by Abu Hurairah, says, Allah's Messenger said that the most awful name in Allah's sight on the day of resurrection will be that of a man calling himself Malik al-Amlak, or the King of Kings. We see in the Surah Mu'minun Ayah 91, Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation says, no son did Allah beget, nor is there any God along with him. If there were many gods, behold, each God would have taken away what he had created, and some would have lorded it over others. Glory to Allah, He is free from the sort of things that they attribute to Him. And what is that He's attributing? They're saying that Allah has no son, that God has no son. And what are the blasphemies? Blasphemies against Christ being the Son of God and being the King of Kings and being the Lord over all. These things are part and portion of what is written. And the Muslims even talk about this. They say that in Surah Ma'idah, Ayah 72, they have certainly disbelieved who say Allah is the Messiah, the Son of Mary, while the Messiah has said, O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Indeed, he who associates others with Allah, Allah has forbidden him paradise, and his refuge is the fire. They clearly say here that anybody that claims that Christ is God in the flesh is going to hell and to burn into fire. And the warning of this in the return about the beast and his blasphemies is clearly in the prophecy. In the book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 6, it says, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And here and on the return is his name. What is his name on his return? The name on his return that they blaspheme is the name of the King of Kings. In Revelation chapter 19 verse 16 it says, and he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written. And what name is written that they blaspheme? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So what blasphemy do they speak in Judaism and Islam? They blaspheme the Son of God. They blaspheme that he is God who came in the flesh, that he's the Messiah who is God and came in the flesh. And the blasphemy which is written in the mouth of the beast, where he blasphemies his name is the King of Kings. And on his return, they will blaspheme that name, according to what they believe in Islam, that the worst person on the day of judgment will be a man who calls himself the King of Kings. And they believe that that's the worst name. And they blaspheme that name. And this is the mouth of the beast that blasphemies, and the prophecy of the mouth of the beast.